Hey folks, Dre Crawford here. Just spent the last week learning the Eversolo DMP-A6. Like I say, the learning curve can be steep because it doesn't really come with its own detailed manual. So going back and going through several YouTube videos, want to thank plenty of people out there who did review it over the last couple of months and allowed me to glean those nuggets of information. So it made it a lot easier to be able to navigate the setup process and all the different things because everybody's using it for different type of setups within their own systems, which they should. You know, myself, I use it primarily as a transport in my system. The next question is about, like anything else, is what you feed your system. But now that I have my library set up, one couple of things I want to point out. I come from a Logitech, or is this a slim device squeeze box system. So I found out even up to last night that it does play it under the UPnP setup. I can feed it the LMS system, which is nice, which means I don't have to recreate playlists that I have established on my squeeze box system. So that's one nice point right off the bat. But like anything else, people want to know, oh, what's the sound quality here and there? And I have tried to, let people know that these things are subjective. The type of music you like that you play on your system, the listening environment, as far as the actual what's on the walls, the flooring, the furniture, all these different things are factors that come in and can affect the listening environment that you're in. Like I say, you can have identical rigs in two different rooms, and it may sound different in each one of the rooms. And just like what's on your system may not sound the same on somebody else's system and vice versa. So I'm gonna get down to some things that I like. And this whole video is about the music that I fed through this thing and the music that I like to feed through my systems for the most part. The first one we talk about is the standard bearer of jazz music. Anybody who's a jazz fan, likes jazz, has this album, has this artist in their collection, and that's Miles Davis. Okay. The album, Kind of Blue. You can pick any track, the lead track, whatever. The engineers on this recording did an excellent job of giving you that spatial feeling, giving you the feeling as a listener of being in that small club environment and sitting in on a session. And that's the style of that recording right there. Like you're actually sitting there and these guys are just playing a set, not performing for an audience, but just playing a set for themselves. So listen to anything on that Kind of Blue album is a must listen. Okay. And I'm gonna keep this pretty much in the era of music go down the road. The next artist I'm gonna talk about in song comes off a young man, like a lot of artists that came out of the 60s, burned so bright, died too soon. Jimi Hendrix. I have the Experience collection. I'm sure people have heard his music and been covered by several different artists over the years. But this one was a song that the way it was engineered, you heard the chasing guitars, the voices coming from the back to the front, everything else, made it such an interesting listen. And that song is Dolly Dagger. It's not one of his more popular songs today, like Voodoo Child, Watchtower, and some of the other ones, but Dolly Dagger, I challenge you to go listen to that. You can sit back and close your eyes, and it's almost like you're on a roller coaster ride, trying to chase the instruments from one side to the left to the right, the voices coming from one side, left or right, from the center. You got your system towed in just right. It's just like you're just wondering where something's coming from next. Okay. And along that same lines, we end up in the end of the late 60s, early 70s. And this is why I talk about the quality of a recording. One of the Beatles' last albums. Okay. The song is Come Together. I have the remastered version of that in my collection. And you listen to that, and the same thing like with the Jimi Hendrix song. Now you understand when people were so afraid of this album, of this style of recording, what they did then. People are talking about, you can hear Satan in the background and stuff, because this is the same thing that happens in this recording. You hear voices from the back to the front, things going from left to right, and it's just like a musical chair vent of the sound. And it's such a nice quality recording. It's almost like a must-have in your collection. Now I'm gonna move up into into the 70s now, and I'm gonna go with a little less known group, but they were a quality group, and they can thank I call him the godfather of soft rock, Peter Frampton. But during that time period, when Frampton turned rock into like a soft rock thing, there were a lot of groups that really prosper off that type of genre, I would say. And one of these groups, Toto, was one of those kind of like just under the radar groups. They came out with a couple of different songs. The styles are all similar if you listen to all three songs. And that's what I do. Every group kind of like has a style, and some go left and right in between that style. But Toto had a collection of songs, and I would put them on the honorable mention list more than anything else. And one of their classic songs everybody talks about is Africa. Starts off with the Congo drums, like the tribal sounds on the African continent, and it kind of gets into the more of the electronic piano and other instruments that come into play. The second song from Toto is Rosanna. Very similar melody type thing as Africa, and it's just a nice picture. The harmony of the singers is what really stands out among the group Toto. The last song I recommend as an honorable mention by Toto would be Georgie Porgy. It was a slight crossover hit on the R&B charts, and that was solely done because they did another version of it with Cheryl Lynn. And that's the version I have, and she really adds a lot of soulful depth on the latter part of the track, where she kind of puts her own little, as they say, put her own little stamp on it, and going from there. Now, going back to the jazz genre, I know this group, everything. I have about 4 albums of their stuff, and that's Foreplay. You can put on just about any one of those albums by Foreplay, any one of their songs, and it is just a pleasure to listen to. Simple that, it's a pleasure. You can go from Chant to 101 Highway to any number of songs on there, and it's just a pleasure to listen to. The next one I go to will be the group Steely Dan. Now, for me, you can put on any Steely Dan album and enjoy yourself, but the one track off of the Two Against Nature album, Jack of Speed, I think that track alone is something that gives your system a nice little clean, crisp feel with the nice melody sound of the singers of that group, and the way the instruments kind of just flow with them, and that song, Jack of Speed. Now, to have something a little fun, like I said, when I grew up, in my era of growing up, especially during the 70s, going through junior high and high school throughout the 70s, there was a lot of things about everybody wanted to be the next big Beatles, next band or whatever. So anytime you had a little dance or something like that, it was nothing unusual to have what we call garage bands playing for these little events and so on. And his next group kind of reminds me of that the music is just, I would say, basic, but it's fun. And sometimes music needs to be fun, just to listen to it. And that's why I go into the B-52s. Now, the song I pick off the B-52, because B-52 has been around for me since my first year of college when Rock Lobster came out and several other songs they have. But this song here to me, it epitomizes all the early 80 groups. You can throw the Go-Go's in there, the Bangos, and so many other different groups, and that's Love Shack. Love Shack will have you tapping your foot, and it's something that doesn't really push your system, but it's enough there that you hear the snare drum snapping. And I like the part towards the latter part of the track where it gets real low, and this will tell your system, will it be revealing enough to where you can hear him telling the girls just a little louder, until they crescendo up to that part of the song. And that's it for me. I listened to a wide variety of songs. Another honorable mention, Chris Stapleton. I'm not much of a country fan, but he does a great job on I'm trying to think the name of the song, just escaped my mind, but Chris Stapleton does a great job. Tennessee Whiskey is the name of the song. That's just good music. That is just simply good music. I don't care if he sings it or somebody else singing it. That's just a good song, Tennessee Whiskey. And another one on the country side of things, she's not as popular as a lot of folks. She came from a folk group to a little bit of a countryside, and that's Rihanna Giddings. And she does a rendition of a Patsy Cline. I think it's called She's Got Him. I think is what it's called. She Got Him. And her voice is just awesome. It is just awesome. And like I say, I can always fall back on another old favorite of anything pretty much by Sade, but I would say Cherish the Day with that lead guitar and throughout the entire track. That's another good song you can put through your system. So once again, this is Dre. I hope you guys will, maybe if you have these tracks, give them a listen. If you don't, give them a listen to, and hope you enjoy it. See you guys later. Bye.